It is truly beautiful. It is awe-inspiring. You walk around this area and you look around and you know that there's beautiful landscape to see, and then when you do see it, it still takes your breath away. It's an absolutely incredible ourselves today. But it is, of course, surrounded by the rather better-known monument of the Great Wall of China that it's next to. It is enormous. It is awe-inspiring, and it begs so many questions in the mind of how anywhere in the world could be a structure 13,000 miles long and built by hand hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Welcome to the Simatai Drone Prix of 2018 with the Drone Champions League, the world's best team racing drone racing series. On our world tour of professional drone racing, we've been to Germany, where we raced in the Munich Olympic Park. We've been to Madrid, where we raced in the most famous and prestigious bullfighting ring in the world. You find us now at the Great Wall Theatre in Simatai, in the shadows of that incredible monument and in the shadows of one or two clouds as well. I'm Matt Andrews. Welcome to the Simatai Drone Prix 2018. We have in front of us an interesting time with some incredible pilots ready to show us the best of what they've got as soon as they can. Next to me here is our brilliant expert, Martijn de Kemp. Martijn, a fun show and event awaits us, I think, for all sorts of reasons.
Definitely. Yeah, the rain is just pouring down on us. It's going to be a challenge for the pilots, but we've been here before, last year.
Yes, we did.
We had some rain, so
yeah.
I'm actually quite confident we're going to manage.
We're going to be fine. It's all going to be fine. Strap in. We'll have some fun along the way. And yes, so this is our Drone Prix 2018, the midpoint of our 2018 season. As Martin alluded to, we had some rain in one of our races last year. That was at the capital of Liechtenstein, a much smaller place than China. A beautiful place, very welcoming. We raced around the government and parliament buildings of Liechtenstein, but now we find ourselves in the shadow, as I said, of the Great Wall of China, all 13,500 miles of it. And we have, as we always do at the DCL, taken a real-world location and turned it into an unbelievable place for drone racing. We have 9 teams, each of 4 pilots, the very best in the world, competing in our Around the World season for 2018. And I say this is the midpoint of it now here in Simatai. We've seen great performances from teams up until this point, and we know that this track is challenging but fun. It's one of those maybe sort of quicker, less technical ones. Not to say it's easy, because it absolutely isn't.
I would say it's quite technical. Yeah, we're going up and over. I'm sure we're going to walk you guys through the track a little bit more in more detail.
Bring an umbrella.
But bring an umbrella.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely breathtaking, and for the pilots to be here is so amazing.
That's the Great Wall Theatre, as I said, and you can see some of our gates and pylons, and the finish gate there, our Red Bull crash gate, are waiting to go, and you can see us there down on the stage, and yes, you can see rain. It is pouring here, but it is easing, and as you can see, some brave and wonderfully adventurous souls are joining us on the steps of the theatre, on their seats for a great drone race. What do we do here at the DCL? Well, allow me to talk you through it if you are new to our amazing league and how this thing works. It's rather unusual. We've got these 9 teams, I say, of 4 pilots each. 7 of them travel around the world with us, and 2 of the teams are local wildcard pilots from China who've been recruited to give a chance to take part in a world championship. Earlier today, in dry weather, those teams all put in qualifying laps, the 4 pilots of each team having turns to race laps. We take the best times from each of them, add them together, and that forms a qualifying time for each team. Those times are then used to rank them, and the top 8 teams progress to the quarterfinals, where the best team in qualifying will race 8th, 4th will race 5th, 3rd, 6th, and 2nd versus 7th. It's a knockout format. The winners of the quarterfinals go to the semis, and the winners of the semi-finals progress to our grand final later on today, and everybody's up for points towards our entire season, looking to be the world champion in a couple of months' time when we round off 2018. But every one of those rounds, the quarters, semis, and grand final, consists of 5 heats. We have 4 single heats, where 1 pilot of each team will race 1 from their opposition. Win that, and you will get a single solitary heat point for your team. That's obviously what everybody's trying to get. So after 4 single heats, a team could be 4-0 in the lead, but then unique to the DCL, it's big heat time. All 8 drones in the air at the same time in a 4-on-4 race. Win that, you'll get 1 for your team. Come in 1st and 2nd, though, this is where it changes. You'll get 2. Come in first, second, and third in succession. 3 points are yours, a 3-1 deficit. You can turn that around to a 4-3 win. And if you clean sweep your opposition and come in first, second, third, and fourth, 4 points are yours. If you were 4-0 down after 4 single heats, you could take it to a tied situation after the big heat, and then extra points from earlier races and so on come into play, and that's how we settle a tie. But yeah, 4 single heats and a big heat to settle every one of our races. There's lots of it to do. All of this is looked after by our good selves and Lucas Baumann as well. He's our chief judge. He's keeping an eye on our race along with a team of amazing spotters and runners to recover drones because, yes, there will be crashes. And the spotters are there to make sure everybody keeps within the course limits of a track, which, as we've said, is challenging in different ways. Some sections very, very quick. Some sections a little bit more technical. Very vertical in places with some beautiful features. I like the corkscrew turns. I like the bit over the wall as well. What's your favorite bit?
I would say diving underneath the wall again.
Yeah,
that's
we
beautiful.
haven't had a lot of that actually. That's kind of a we haven't seen that on many of our courses.
No, the
That's
3D
really
elements in
bit.
this track are amazing. Yes.
Yeah. So let's show you what we're doing here in Simatai.
Let's do it. So this is where we start, right next to us actually. We fly over the big Chinese garden. In the far end of the track here we have a split S corner going through the first DCL gate, and this is basically where the pilots can really punch out their quads, go full throttle through the DCL gate, around the lantern here, which is what we call this yellow pylon, through the Breitling gate, over the wall, take a left-hander, and then a hard 180 corner to the right through the DCL gate, and this is what I meant. This is just beautiful. We dive down, go straight through, and after the pilots have finished 3 laps, that's when they have to enter the Red Bull crash gate, and whoever makes it there first wins.
Usually they make it with a lot more speed than that, but as you can see from our Red Bull crash gate, sometimes they don't make it and they hit the gate instead. That doesn't count. You've got to go in. Our standings for the 2018 World Championship currently look like this. Rotorama have made that magical 4-digit figure ahead of everybody else. Quad Force 1, the American team, new to the DCL this year, but making a huge impact. They are 90 points behind them now after our last Drone Prix. And somewhat behind them are Next Blades Racing, the reigning world champions from 2017. Raiden Racing from Japan, a couple of 100 points behind them, and then there's a bit of a gap before China Dragons make an appearance. They're looking to get a lot more points for the season here in front of their home audience. Swiss Black Kites, only 10 points behind them. Our youth team, Wild Prop, fantastic young pilots who we've had so much fun with in Munich and Madrid. They're not here in Simatai, so they won't be picking up any more points this evening. Hellhound are one of our Chinese wildcard teams, and they managed to come 3rd last time we raced. And Air Carvers Germany, who've been in 5 Drone Prix this season, have so far managed to only come 5th once and no better than that, which is why they're languishing down in 9th. But after qualifying earlier today, as I mentioned, we take the best lap times from the pilots and add them together to make a cumulative lap time for the team. You can see Rotorama, who were best when we've raced here in Simatai before, they're lagging behind Quad Force 1 by 1.5 seconds in total. That's 1.5 seconds between 4 pilots, remember. Quad Force 1, top in qualifying. Rotorama second, and Next Blades Racing. Those 3 teams who are scrapping at the top of our leaderboard. They are first, second, third in qualifying, just in a slightly different order. And Raiden Racing 4th on our standings, 4th in qualifying as well. 9 teams there. Sonic Boom. There are other local Chinese wildcard teams. As I said, we recruit wildcard pilots. Sometimes we have a competition. Sometimes it's through invitation for local pilots to our tracks to come and race on them in a World Championship. They'll get some points, as Hellhound did with the 200 that they've got here, but they won't feature in the rest of the season. That's just how this is going to work. Obviously, they're not going to travel around the world as one of the official DCL teams. Hellhound are one of the local wildcard teams. The other one are Sonic Boom. And the last time we raced here in China, they failed to make it above 9th, so they didn't race. And unfortunately, their entire event with us is over again as they're 9th in qualifying again.
Yeah, we have the best pilots in the world here. Sometimes for these local prodigies, it's not easy to make it. Unfortunately for them, but we do have 2 Chinese teams aboard, and I'm very excited for them to show their skills.
And China Dragons are going to have to really show us a bit more than they have as well, because they were roundly beaten by a wildcard team in the shape of Hellhound yesterday. Yep. These qualifying results then, you know that Sonic Boom are out already. The other 8 teams will be facing off in our quarterfinals as follows. Quad Force 1 will be up in the first one as our #1 seed, and they will be racing Hellhound. It's Quad Force 1 against Hellhound. Then Raiden Racing will race Swiss Black Kites in quarterfinal 2. Next Blades Racing will take on Air Carvers Germany. That's a good scrap. That's a 2 teams who faced off with some fun before in the past. And Rotorama against China Dragons. That's a good one too. In fact, they're all good. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
That's why we're here.
They are.
Winners of those will go to the semis, winners of those go to the grand final. Somebody will pick up 250 points towards the season. Will Rotorama extend their lead over the others, or will we get a new leader after today? Well, we'll find out very soon. Let's welcome our teams to the stage for our first quarterfinal. We'll bring out the #1 seed after qualifying today, and a team who've come runner-up here in China and looking to go better this time. Please welcome to the stage from America, they are Quad Force 1! Yeah, now this is a team who are always in good spirits, always ready to go. And they're confident boys. We have a lot of fun with them. They are Armando Halagos, Jonathan Templeton, Alex Campbell, and Andy Marakilian is the lineup we have for Quad Force 1 today. Their opponents, though, they know their way around a racetrack in China. They know how to please an audience on their home turf as well. Please welcome their opponents, Hellhound! Wildcard team really showing what they can do. Brilliant performances from them, very much crowd-pleasing performances from them. And we've got a crowd here in their DCL hats and their raincoats who are braving this rain, and we are thrilled to have them with us. And I think they're going to get something really exciting to kick things off and warm them up with the first race here, because it is Quad Force 1 against Hellhound. Quad Force 1, 90 points behind the leaders of our season so far. Hellhound, nothing to lose. Just got to turn up. They've got points on our season. They got the 200. It's not going to matter because they're not going to take part in the whole year. But third last time we raced in China, made it to the semi-finals. This is a different challenge for them, though.
Definitely. And Kun Wang Li is amongst them. He's the Chinese champion. Right now, looking at Haisen Kong, student. Really proud to represent China in this race.
Last time we saw Hellhound, we didn't see Haisen Kong. Every team needs at least 2 pilots to be in every race that they do. So again, in Quad Force 1, we've got Alex Campbell and Andy Marakilian, but we've got 2 pilots who we haven't seen before, making up their roster of 4 for this race. Yeah, Hellhound, we've got Kaki Leung, Jinghao Lai, Yua Yuen Liao, and Haisen Kong. And the way we go through our single heats, as I said, we have 4 of them all together, 1-on-1, and they go in terms of the pilots' times in qualifying, starting from the slowest one. So our first one will be Armando Josef Halagos against Haisen Kong in the very first single heat of the DCI race in Simatai. We go with the blue drone of Quad Force 1 and the white one for Hellhound. And up towards the garden. Welcome to our first sight of the track today as they fly over the garden and out through the DCL gate and around the lantern clockwise turn. Anti-clockwise, I beg your pardon. Difficult turn, all the way around 360, and then you do a hard right 180 there, and you dive under the stage, and Kong is in the lead over Halagos by 1.5 seconds. That's the view of the garden one way. You do this quick switch here, you can do a split S or a hard turn, come out over the garden through the other side, and then you head towards the lantern. There it is. Left, 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 and down as you go over it. Over the wall, to the right of those pylons, a hard right 180, and then come through that gate and dive under the stage. Start lap number 2. We'll do 3 of them, and this time Halagos is the first one onto the lap. Where is Kong? It's the light blue drone of Quad Force 1 who's taking the garden order himself, and we'll see what he does around the lantern. He's high and fast. Meanwhile, on stage, Kong is registering a protest. We'll continue with Halagos as he comes around to complete this lap and complete the race, as he'll take it to the crash gate without too much urgency. He's in a time of 1:04, but the protest flag being waved on stage by Hellhound will now be investigated. So we have a system here where if a pilot thinks that there's been a problem that is out of their control, so it's not a technical failure on their part, maybe there's a trackside camera issue or something like that. Basically, usually if they lost picture, because they are flying FPV, if they lose their picture and there's a reason that they think is out of their control, you know, they haven't crashed it, for example, then they can flag up a protest. That video issue or whatever it is will be investigated.
Yeah,
and if it's found to be a problem that's not theirs, then there'll probably be a rerun.
It could be, yeah. In this case, Kong did have some video issues. Yeah, now it's up to the judges to decide whether it's on the drone side or whether it's on the receiving end, like you just explained.
Yeah, we have obviously trackside receiving devices all over this course, and it's difficult in a real location, particularly an old one. Stone walls in the way. They weren't built for drone racing. Maybe for a round, but not for sending signals.
Exactly. So there are two types of signals that we're working with. The first type of signal is video, which is transmitted on around the 5.8 band. That's the same as a regular Wi-Fi signal. And the second signal we use is for the RF. That's a lot lower, or the RC link, that's what I mean. So that's how the pilots are actually able to control and maneuver their drones around the circuit.
Currently, we're looking at a score of 1-0 to Quad Force 1 over Hellhound, but this is being reviewed. If, as I mentioned, it's a equipment failure trackside, then he'll get his rerun. But if it's maybe something was wrong with the drone, whether that be installation or build or just during the flight and things can happen, then the rerun won't be granted and the point will stand. Looks like we will get on with single heat 2 while the first one is being reviewed. I think Lucas Baumann has a decision for us. We'll go to him on stage.
Decision is postponed. We have to check the drone once we received it.
Yeah, so that's what we were just talking about. What they're going to do now is investigate the drone, see if it's technically the way it should be. And if it is, they will probably grant the rerun.
Yeah.
If it isn't, so if there's something obviously wrong with the drone, we're not going to see a rerun, and we're going to have this point granted to the US team.
Now, what that seems to suggest then is that so far, trackside, everything seems to be absolutely fine. So we'll work out what's going on with the drone, and if we need to, we'll come back and rerun it. Otherwise, the point will stand for Quad Force 1. Single heat number 2, though, features Kaki Leung against that man, JT,
countdown.
Jonathan Templeton. 17-year-old US pilot. He won a single heat last time we were here. Kaki Leung, he won a single heat last time we raced with him as well. Up they go. The light blue one is Templeton's for America, and Leung is for the Chinese team of Hellhound, and in the lead after that first brilliant turn from him. He comes out of the garden with a lead of 3/4 of a second over Templeton, who's coming and closing that gap as he comes through the lantern and passes him out of the lantern, but Leung passes him back. They both take that after turn a little bit difficultly down on the dive, and it's Templeton with the lead now of over a second as they come onto lap number 2. Kaki Leung sees Templeton in front of him. We are on board. This is exactly what he is flying with. This picture is what our pilots are flying with right now. Pixelation, artifacts and all. But Leung takes the lead. All right, nearly had Templeton there. Lap number 2 is still Templeton's, and they come out over the garden. The gap now 2/3 of a second. Leung takes him into the garden. Templeton comes back again. They are neck and neck at times, side by side at times, swapping that lead. But it is the lantern. One of them goes so wide. One of them went narrowly through, and yet they came out together. One's down. Leung has crashed. Templeton is home. That's absolutely thrilling racing for only the second race of the day. The lead went back and forth, back and forth. Kaki Leung shakes his head. An amazing performance from him, but one of the very last gates on the course cost him the point. That point is pretty much guaranteed for Quad Force 1.
Let's take a look at the moment where they crashed. They were just side by side here. We see Leung ending up on the low end of that DCL gate and crashing on top of the wall. The happiness of Quad Force 1 all over.
I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but there is a lot of cheers and a lot of noise coming to egg on Hellhound. I think our audience here appreciates this will be a massive, massive result if Hellhound make it through to the semi-finals. They will knock out the #1 team in qualifying today in shape of Quad Force 1. They were second in qualifying last time we raced in China, Quad Force 1 as well. So they are, good. They've been good on pretty much every course we've thrown at them. For Hellhound to beat them will be a big, big upset, both right here now and also for points for the season. The review of the first one is still underway, so we know it's definitely 1 point to Quad Force 1. It might be 1-1 or 2-0, but we'll go to Xinghao Lai against Alex Campbell in single heat number 3. That is Alex Campbell's drone in the third podium, the one towards the left, and Ting Hao Lai goes up and fires straight away from him, off of the blocks, but Campbell has got the bit between his teeth. He's such a fighter. He comes out of that first gate in the lead. Lai, some way behind him now already, down to the lantern. Campbell owned this earlier on in practice. He's still in the lead now, but Lai is not letting him have all this to himself. That's a good turn from both of them, completing lap number 1. Through the dive, Lai with picture problems here, but he's still flying it over the garden. Somewhere in front of him is Campbell, but not by much. It was a much better turn by Lai into the garden, but Campbell's got more speed coming out of it. The lantern, great dive by Campbell for quad force 1. Lai is still with him. In no way has he got this course all to himself. Through the dive and onto the third and final lap, 2/3 of a second between them. Lai, Campbell in front of him. Campbell hesitantly into the garden. Lai with him now. Lai pulling the gap a little bit. This lantern, though, is all Campbell's, but Lai wants some of it as well. Campbell is down on the lantern turn. Lai has still got this. He's through the last DCL gate. He'll come under the bridge. Lai is going to bring it home. If he can find the crash gate, it's somewhere around there, Lai. There it is. Huge cheers for him. Is Campbell registering a protest for that one? I saw him holding his controller aloft, but I don't think I saw him with a red flag in his hands. That's a brilliant result by Ting Hao Lai. 23-year-old Chinese pilot gets one definite point in the bag for Hellhound. Yeah, no review there. That one's going to stand. Campbell was out of it. The moment any of our pilots crash, the other one has travelled further around the course, and so the point would be granted to them even if they crashed. Single heat number 1 between Halagos and Kong, still under review. It's 1-1, but if you're quad force 1, you're reasonably confident you're going to get a second one, because this is one of the very best pilots we've ever had in the DCL. He is 25-year-old Andy Marakilian for quad force 1. He's got 11 wins out of 13 single heats this season. That is unprecedented. He already has more wins after 5 Drone Prix
10 seconds
than anybody achieved in the entirety of last year.
Abort.
We are not going into single heat 4. I just heard Lucas Baumann calling that race off. We will find out why. Goggles on both of our pilots. Andy Marakilian standing there for quad force 1, and it is Yuen Liao standing with our camera operator for Hellhound.
Marakilian is the second fastest qualifier of all pilots here today.
Okay, so the weather conditions aren't going to hold us up right now. The rain does seem to have let us have some fun. The FPV gods are with us, Martin.
They are. They are, yeah. The rain stopped for a while. I think we're just having some drops now.
Have I jinxed it?
No, I don't think so. I think we're good to go. Might be some technical issues. Could also be that they need to retrieve one of the crashed drones because it's still a signal coming out of it.
Yuen
10 seconds
Liao
countdown.
and Andy Marakilian, and some threatening rain clouds await us for single heat number 4. Here we go. First single heat still under review. Marakilian up and away. Liao is not going to go quietly here. Marakilian comes into the garden. Liao with him. As you were saying, Marakilian's great in qualifying on this course. Can do some very good times. I think he was the first pilot to get under 16 seconds in qualifying here. Campbell did a great one with him on that particular qualifying session as well. Yuen Liao here with Marakilian in front of him by 1.67 seconds. Marakilian exits the garden. He's got such good speed, and you need a lot of height there because there's some trees there that can certainly trip you up. But that's happened in practice. That's happened in qualifying that we've all done earlier on today. Trees get difficult as well, of course, as it gets darker. Marakilian's on his second lap, nearly 2.5 seconds ahead of Liao. This one's looking a little bit more academic for quad force 1 now. He's out of the garden. The lantern turn is that beautiful anti-clockwise left-hand spiral. So nicely done. Liao isn't even in this picture now as Marakilian comes out here. There's a little bit of a view of the Great Wall Theatre, and there's a little spiral into the decks of the Red Bull Gate. Nearly 5 seconds between them. There's Liao coming in at speed. And Marakilian makes it 2-1 for quad force 1. Lucas Baumann, I think, and his team of spotters may have got to the bottom of single heat number 1 between Halagos and Kong. We'll see if we can get that result before we go to big heat time. Are we going to get a rerun of that? Or are we going to find out where 2-1 goes?
The protest from Team Hellhound in the first single heat was unjustified. Technical error with the drone, so no rerun.
Ah, there you have it.
So there we go. So Heisen Kong there in your picture. Something wrong. Drone side, not track side, making it 3-1 now. That point that Heiligos got for them in the first single heat absolutely confirmed to stake. And 3-1 is where Quad Force 1 is at. So as I said at the beginning about the big heat, it can still turn things around.
Let's take a look at the finish of Marakilian here. We saw him turn around, and he entered as you can see on the big screen there, he entered the crash gate doing a full roll.
Yeah.
Spinning the drone around his axis, pretty cool.
Yeah, he's quite relaxed, isn't he? He's confident, and I say he's got loads of points this season already. 3-1. Finisher points there on your screen are used to separate the teams if they are tied on heat points. Now, this is very interesting. If Hellhound come in first in this big heat, they'll get 1, and that won't be enough to win it. If they get first and second, they'll get 2. They'll tie with Quad Force 1 on heat points, and the finisher points might put them through. Depends on how many pilots do actually finish this big heat. There's only 1 in it at the moment, and it's in Hellhound's favor. Come in first, second, and third, and finisher points are irrelevant right now because you'll go through to the semi-finals, Hellhound. And that, as I say, will be a massive story. Loads of smiles on the faces of people here in the Great Wall Theatre, and Quad Force 1 will take that very badly because that will let their main opposition for the World Championship get some way further ahead of them. I'm confident at least one of the rivals next to them is going to pick up some points at some point today. Not everybody does. You only get points if you come 5th or higher.
In the previous race, they did so well. They managed to make it to the 2nd spot, I believe, 2nd place. But Quad Force 1 is only here with a mission. They want to take that 1st place. They've been working around the clock last night to fix all their drones, do some adjustments as well. Some of their pilots went from 5-inch propellers to 6-inch propellers. And that gives them a little bit more traction in all those corners.
Now, we've got a little bit of an issue, I think, with one of the drones for Hellhound on its starting block. It's not arming. Jua Yuan Liao's drone, not that one. It's just off to the right of your picture. Those are the drones of Quad Force 1 in light blue. Jia Yuan Liao's drone, fastest in qualifying for his team, is coming off of its starting block right now. As you can see at the back right of the picture there, that's not lit up because there's nothing on there. See the other drones twitching and ready to go. You can have between 3 and 5 drones at a DCL Drone Prix. That's how many you've got to bring to the whole event.
Countdown.
But he hasn't got one that can switch in for that, so he's on stage not taking part in this. There's only 3 Hellhound pilots in it. They need to come first, second, and third if they want to get straight through to the semi-finals. But first and second, and some finisher points in their favor, might do it for them. So they're going to the front, and the fight is on as they mostly all get through that first gate. I think we've got all 7 drones still in the air. Marakilian is currently in the lead, and Campbell is with him. Kong is down. That's a disaster for Hellhound because they need all the finishes they can get to try and get through. They need at least first and second, remember. Campbell and Marakilian fancy first and second for themselves and Quad Force 1. Over the guard, the light blue drones of Marakilian, half a second between him and his teammates. There's the lantern turn that they both love so much, but Leung is still in this. Kaki Leung is mixing things up and letting them have it all their own way. Jonathan Templeton down in 4th, moving down to 5th is Lai. And Leung moves, starting to move up the field. There's not much left in this race, though, if they're going to try and catch Marakilian and Campbell, but if those 2 pilots get into trouble, Leung and Lai are going to take advantage of it, but under the dive they go, and one of them is home for Quad Force 1. It is Andy Marakilian. Alex Campbell's not found it yet. Is he in there yet? There he goes. Lai and Kailigos and a few crashes all make an impact on the finish of our first quarterfinal. But it's definitely looking like a big, big sweep for Quad Force 1. I think they might have managed to take first, second, third, and 4th in the big heat. That's definitely Quad Force 1 through to the semi-finals, and I think it's going to be with a 7-1 win.
Yeah, let's take a look at what happened there in the far end of the race. This is where we see Lai coming towards the crash gate and not making it in quite yet. Hitting off the side and bouncing off the side, rather. That's unfortunate, but Marakilian was way up front. He took the lead from the start of the race, and he went from there. As we've seen in the qualifiers, this man is barely unbeatable. Only having Jakub Thoman in front of him from Team Rotorama.
Kaki Leung with me here from Hellhound. A disappointing race for you there as you're going to leave us at the quarterfinal stage. Could you ask him for me what do you think went wrong for the team today?
佢話八強出咗局，跟住八強出局之後，你有咩感覺？有冇好失望咁樣？
我们今天发挥的话，我觉得还可以吧，因为我们其实看起来差距也不是很大的，也谢谢大家吧。
I think we are not bad today, and we already gave our best to compete with one of the best team here.
Yeah, very much so. Quad Force One doing so well in our season to date. As a team, as drone racers, are you going to stick together? Or are you going to sort of compete in more events in future?
你成
As a team, Hellhound, are they going to grow together and compete in more events in future?
你哋會唔會一隊人再繼續將來再去參加多啲比賽？
如果我们有机会的话，可能都会继续参加吧，看看有没有赞助商赞助我们吧。
If we have the chance, we would like to stick together to compete in the future.
We'd love to see more of what Hellhound can do after the amazing performance you gave us the last time we raced when you were third in the entire event. Lastly, Kaki, is there anything you want to say to the amazing support that our Chinese audience have been giving you?
你最後有冇啲咩想同各位觀眾去講呢？
好，我们独角兽队，谢谢各位中国的观众，谢谢。
Hellhound, ladies and gentlemen, out of the quarterfinals stage to Quad Force One. Congratulations to them. We'll see the Americans in the semi-finals. Quarterfinal number 2 awaits us here in Simatai as the, well, not the sun, because we haven't seen much of that today, but as the daylight goes down, the rain hangs around a little bit, the nighttime falls into the stage. Come, the Japanese team, we welcome to our stage, Raiden Racing.
Raiden Racing representing Japan. Junichi Goto, Kazuma Asami, Takumi Suzuki, all coming out of Japan. And amongst them, they also have Axel Lenkong.
Yeah.
Young protege.
Yeah, I'm an Axel
from
fan.
Indonesia. Yeah, so am I.
Best pilot in Indonesia at the young age of 14. We'll talk more about him, I have no doubts. But before that, let's bring on their opponents. They're the purple team of the Swiss Black Kites. Raphael Strahl there, along with Dario Neuenschwander, Michael Isler, and Marco Cezena in the black cap there. Here we go. That's what they do.
Nice.
Hasn't caught on to other teams yet. That's very much a Swiss Black Kites thing.
Yeah, it is, because they are true friends, these guys. They fly together a lot. I'm especially impressed by Michael Isler's performance in qualifying. He did super, super well. He hasn't been a part of the team for the entire season.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
He was there in the first race in Munich. He missed the second one in Madrid, but it's good for their teammates to have him back, because he is only hundredths of a second away from Marakilian in qualifying. He's actually the third fastest qualifier out of all pilots we have here today.
Michael Isler, third in qualifying.
Yes, you're right.
That's a big result for the Swiss Black Kites.
Definitely. Yeah, actually, they have 2 of their pilots who made it to the top 10.
So Raiden Racing, second in qualifying today. They're good in qualifying as a team. After 4 single heats, Raiden Racing have the lead. 3-1 over the Swiss Black Kites. Some difficulties for the purple team there, keeping their drones in the air. One at least due to an obstacle and a pilot actually crashing into that DCL exit gate, and that was Dario Neuenschwander. A technical failure for Strahl as well. That's a gifted point for Kazuma Asami of the Japanese team. 3-1 going into the big heat. A little bit of doubt perhaps in the minds of the Swiss.
Definitely, yeah. Isler as well, hitting one of the gates on his first lap. He launched a little bit slow. Maybe that surprised him that Axel Lankong was able to get ahead of him that fast.
Yeah, I suppose that can put a kind of, oh, hang on, catch-up mentality for the race, and that's not what you want, particularly in this track when you go straight out of the blocks, high and fast in front of you, do a hard, kind of hard right 90-degree turn, and then you head to the guard, and then you do either that split S or a hard 180 to come through that first gate. And we're seeing different approaches from pilots on that first gate, which is costing some of them a lot of time and speed.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would say, especially now flying by night, the safest way to take it is in fact doing a split S. So ending up way high and then invert your quad and drop it down. But some are still taking it as a corner.
Raiden's yellow drones are ready to go, and the purple ones are Swiss Black Kites. They need to come in first and second at minimum to try and make anything of this quarterfinal. And the night sky is full of quads, and it is a purple one up front with 2 yellow ones passing. They are Asami's and Suzuki's, and now there are purple ones all in the mix of this. The lantern sees everybody flying around in all kinds of directions. Everybody's mostly made it through. Lenkong's been flagged up as possibly having gone the wrong way, but it is Neuenschwander and Isler where they need to be, but one of them has hit the first gate into the garden, and I think the reaction of him bouncing off of that causing a crash into one of the drones of Raiden Racing. We'll find out later. It seems to be Cesena who's gone down. Michael Isler still up front, 35 seconds in. Lenkong is out of this now. His wrong flight is never going to matter. Asami and Goto Suzuki still flying for the Japanese team, though it needs to be 2 purple drones at the front if they're going to get 2 points to close this gap on Raiden Racing and have a chance of getting into the semi-finals. Michael Isler makes it 1 for them, but a yellow drone is making its way in, possibly after it. There's one going in, one's bounced it, another one is in, and one is behind the crash gate. It is Goto who's failed to get in there. The purple one swooping around, it's not made it in. It was irrelevant. Anyway, Strahl has crashed in front of the crash gate. Isler got the heat point for the Swiss Black Kites, but they needed somebody to come in second place as well. They didn't get it, and Raiden Racing are through.
This is where we see Axel Lankong hitting the brightening gate. It could actually be one of the lines that reinforce and keep the brightening gate in place. And he managed to keep his squad in the air.
That was really exciting, a good challenge for Swiss Black Kites. Purple ones were up front in first and second as they needed. The point, as I say, Michael Isler's and Swiss Black Kites, but you have to come in first and second if you want to. It's successive positions from first place that get you bonus points. We will go and talk with Raiden Racing. Yunichi, congratulations, your team Raiden Racing through to the semi-finals. Last time we raced in China, a disappointing day for you. Much better today.
Yes, and thank you very much. We did, last day was terrible. But we can do it because we are just a camera and props, so maybe we can do more best.
So a bit of a technical decision, looking at your equipment, changing it to work better on this course?
Yeah, the LED and the lights are very bright, so we turn them more dark. So yeah.
You'll go through to our semi-finals. You are in the mix of our season as well. You're currently in 4th place for the World Championship. Who do you think is your biggest competitor out of all of the other teams?
Rotorama, yeah.
Why Rotorama, other than the obvious fact that they are currently leading?
Yeah, they're doing. Their quads are very fast, and all the team is, their relationship is very good. So.
And just one more question for you, Goto. You're the oldest member of this team, to be polite about it. You've got very young members on your team. What do you think of these young pilots that you've got and how very professional they are?
Yeah, but I'm like their dad, and yeah, they're like my children. So yeah, I'm to be a good adult. So yeah, just teaching them and make it how to fly and how to build and how to live like a gentleman.
It's live like a gentleman. I like it. It's definitely working out. Raiden Racing, congratulations, Junichi, through to the semi-finals.
Junichi Goto right there. Not just a nice guy, but also the father figure of the team.
Yes, he is.
He is.
His pilots, what are they, 17, 14, and 13 years old. We'll see more of them later on. But now let's bring to our stage here for quarterfinal number 3 of the DCL Drone Prix in Simatai, the reigning world champions of the UK, Next Blades Racing. Next Blades of Gary Kent, Timothy Trowbridge, Yunwoi Choi, and Brett Collis. Their opponents languishing at the bottom of our leaderboard for the season, looking to get some points from this quarterfinal and onwards. Please welcome Air Carvers Germany.
Great sportsmanship between them two. They've had a few meetings before, haven't they?
Yeah, we've got some good history already. Of course it's already. How can you have history you haven't had already? What am I saying? Yeah, these two teams, they know each other well, particularly from our 2017 season. But Air Carvers Germany, yeah, they've got a real challenge ahead of them in the shape of Next Blades Racing, and they desperately need some points. They yet haven't made it out of a single quarterfinal. Next Blades Racing, having won 4 single heats out of 4. A huge threat for Air Carvers Germany coming into this quarterfinal, and that's exactly what Air Carvers Germany would have feared. And it was good racing in those 4 single heats until the green team got into a bit of trouble and the blue team left them behind. Lucas Wahl having the most difficulty in single heat number 3 there. Jim-Woo Choi got that point handed to him. Trowbridge getting into some trouble over Angelo Felschler. He got a very slow entry into the garden in his earliest part, but then Felschler got into much bigger trouble later on. Finisher points on the board for Air Carvers Germany mean that if they can tie this thing up in the big heat, could be very, very big surprise in store for Next Blades Racing. But they'll have to come in first, second, third, and fourth, those green drones, to get 4 heat points and tie things up with the blue team from the UK. That's a huge challenge. It very, very rarely happens in DCL that a team will come in all of first, second, third, and fourth. When they do, it's usually because their opponents have exited that big heat in various different places. And I don't remember a team who are behind going into the big heat getting the clean sweep over their opposition. I don't think it's been done. There's been very few occasions when a team have come in first, second, third, and fourth. And I don't think it's ever been the team who are behind after the single heats. So time to do it. Lucas Wahl and the boys in green from Germany. Time to make history here at the DCL. Time to knock the world champions out of the quarterfinals. Time to guarantee yourself way more points than you've achieved in the season so far. And we'll put you down in the record books as the first team to turn around via a clean sweep.
That would be nice.
I've given him all to them there,
10
haven't
seconds
I?
countdown.
It's like this is a glorious moment in history to do at the Great Wall of China. Norbert there, he's ready for his team. Ready to spot. Here it comes, the blue and Next Blades Racing, the green with it all to do at the Air Carvers Germany. Everybody's up, but 3 of the green drones are in 6th, 7th, and 8th as they come towards that gate. But out front, things are mixing around. It's green, it's blue, it's green, it's blue. It's Brandes and Wahl over Trowbridge. All 8 drones beautifully through the lantern, just about through the lantern in the case of one of them. That one is still up in the air, though. It's green and it's fighting, and it's Timothy Trowbridge. He's having a much better time than it is at the moment. He's had such a disappointing return in the DCL, as I said, but he was in the lead. It's green up front. It's Sebastian Brandes. Choi and Trowbridge fighting with him in the lanterns. Brandes coming out in front. Remember, the greens have to be first, second, third, and fourth. They're all still in this. Really good big heat now, but it's blue up front for Trowbridge. Choi with him, not far behind him. Brando's a long way behind him now. They'll come over the garden. We're on board with Bastian Hackel, who's got blue drones in front of him and around to the left. He'll come towards Little Lancer and the blue ones. Choi and Trowbridge are a long way ahead now. Hackel is still fighting out with them over the top of the wall, but they're going down, down, down for the Air Carvers Germany. And they're going into the crash gate for Next Blades Racing. First, second are there. There's another one in for the Blues. Hackel did get there in the end. Lucas Vahl enjoying himself. Zed on stage, having a lot of fun, but they leave us at the quarterfinals again. There's a lot of laughter on the stage.
Take a look at this, man. This is racing. This is racing right there. Bastian Hackel here, fastest qualifying pilot from Air Carvers Germany, with all of those drones in front of him. This is just beautiful.
It's interesting to see Air Carvers Germany being so happy to be wiped out of their fifth quarterfinal out of five.
It's also Lucas Vahl. This man is just, he cannot stop smiling.
That is true. And it's good to see. And the crash gate suffers, as you can also see.
Yeah. Oh.
It's taken a beating.
That's why he was smiling. He just took out all of his frustration on the crash gate, didn't he?
It's Next Blades Racing in the semi-finals. Brett Collis and Next Blades Racing, a semi-finalist. Again, something we're quite familiar with you guys. Loads of smiles on stage, lots of laughter, both from you, and I don't know if you realize Air Carvers Germany, loads of smiles on their face as well. Why? What did you find so funny at the end of that?
I think partly the crash gate, I think it kind of demolished the hole in it. Yeah. But I think kind of between us, it's good kind of banter, a lot of respect between us as pilots, and kind of it was a fair fight, I think, and kind of went well.
It did go well. It went very well for you, of course. You had lost a little bit of your second place on the standings after our last racing here in China. Quad Force 1, we know what a big threat they are. Got more points than you before, so are you feeling more confident today?
I think more confident. Hopefully kind of the errors that made us go out in the semi-finals yesterday won't happen again. So we're kind of being double-checking kind of technical stuff. I think it was kind of a run of bad luck hit us all at once, so hopefully that doesn't happen again.
You were Pilot of the Year last year, and new to your team for these races here in China, you've got Timothy Trowbridge, who was runner-up to you by 1 point due to your last race of the entire 2017 season. That's when you sealed Pilot of the Year over him. What's it like having Timothy on your side this time?
It's great. I mean, we're pretty good friends, kind of good banter in the team, kind of get on really well, kind of help each other out on the racetrack and things like that as well. So, yeah, it's brilliant.
We'll see you in the semi-finals. Ladies and gentlemen, Brett Collis and the UK boys are going through. We bring to our stage the leaders of the DCL World Championship. So far, they're from the Czech Republic. They're the red team of Rotorama.
Yeah, these guys are doing really well again. Super consistent team.
Yes.
Here we take a look at Jakub Thoman, our fastest individual qualifying pilot of today.
Yeah.
Amazing job. He is 0.03 of a second faster than Andy Marakilian over the course of 3 laps, that is.
Yeah. Their opponents are coming onto our stage. They're the 7th place out of qualifying. They are going to get huge support here in Simatai because they are the China Dragons. There it is. The chants for China coming from our audience right now. For a team who need a bit of crowd support, they need to turn up and they need to get back into this championship. They're languishing with 310 points in our World Championship. And their results have not been how they've wanted them to be in the previous races we've seen. China Dragons with Rotorama to get past if they want to get a lot more points out of today. Good team who could do it, but the last time they faced Rotorama, they lost 6-1 to them here in China. And right back at the start of the season, they faced Rotorama in the semi-finals. and lost 4-0 there. So this is a difficult challenge in Rotorama for any team, particularly for China Dragons. Rotorama, as expected, in the lead after the 4 single heats of quarterfinal number 4. China Dragons have got 1 on the board. They're going to need at least 2 from the big heats. It's been exciting seeing how these 2 pilots have coped with these difficult conditions. The obstacles have claimed a few of them along the way. Shah and Toman both going down in that 4th single heat, but Shah having made it a little bit further than him. But yeah, DNFs all over our board for the rest of China Dragons, and a couple for Rotorama who didn't quite make it to the end. Lucas Lemversky doing the best performance of all of them, getting his race in over Kang Long, which was a brilliant bit of action. Here are the big heat then. You can get 2 points, China Dragons, if you come in 1st and 2nd, and it's been good fighting performances from them, but not 3 laps worth of it, and that's what they need to do. You, stating the obvious, have to get to the end.
Yep.
Or all of your opponents have to crash before you do. That's not how you win a big heat. That's not how you win 2 points in a big heat. It's not how you want to win it. You'll take it by any way you can get it. But China Dragons need to outrace Rotorama here, because Rotorama had a little bit of difficulty through those single heats, but they're not a team who crash a lot. I mean, Toman has got 8 wins out of 12 single heats. Svoboda's 9 out of 12. Lemversky's 9 out of 12. They can win them in single heats. However, in big heats, their big heat scores for Rotorama are extremely different than their single heats. Take Toman, for example, who was best in qualifying. 8 wins out of 12 single heats before we came to this Drone Prix in single heats. 8 wins out of 12. 2 out of 11 in big heats. So his teammate Svoboda, 1 out of 11 in big heats. And Lemversky, again, 1 out of 11. Jakob Steiner, who's the 4th member of their team here, he hasn't raced in big heats prior to this Drone Prix because it's the first time we've seen him in 2018.
Yep.
They are a really confusing mix, Rotorama, that they win as a team. They
10
are
seconds countdown.
the best results in single heats that we have, and some of the worst in big heats. Which isn't going to be today. Will Rotorama break this curse of being bad in big heats? Can China Dragons take advantage of it? Well, they are up and into orbit on the orange side. China going high. It's the red ones of Rotorama, but the orange ones need to be up front, 1 and 2. At least one is eating a tree on the exit of the garden. That is a Lemversky drone. That's their best pilot after single heats. He's done. Inway, Ken Inway, the pilot for China Dragons. He was up front. Kiang Long has taken the position from him, but then Svoboda and Toman took all of it back for Rotorama. Jakob Toman up front here. Svoboda Steiner in the mix, passing Ken Inway, who's down, passing Long, who's still in the air. Chen and Hai-Hong Xia, they're still in the air. They're getting into a bit of a mess for China Dragons at the back. We're on board with Jakob Toman, who is out in the lead. He comes round the lantern. He exits that. Svoboda is in 2nd place behind him. This looks like it may all well be wrapped up in red. Kian Long still fighting this one as he's in the air, but Toman's already home, and Rotorama are already in the semi-finals. Svoboda's crashed it before he got there. Long comes in 2nd. A good result for the pilot who makes his first race for China Dragons, but they won't make any more races today. Sad looks on their faces as Rotorama beat them again. And 4-1. Means Rotorama look to get more points on the board and strengthen their hold on being our leaders for the World Championship. They'll go into the semi-finals.
This is where we see Ken Inoue hitting the far bottom of that gate, end up in the garden. And this is where we see Jakob Toman with, you can almost see it, a lot of drops on his lens. The pilots are literally flying through the rain now. But they also built their machines to be able to handle that. So they've done some work on isolation. Now let's talk with the winning team, Rotorama.
Lucas Lemversky and Rotorama are semi-finalists. That's something you're getting pretty used to.
Yeah, I guess. It was a nice flight, so we're happy about that. The rain was not so nice. I didn't see anything at the big heat and crashed. but yeah, that's what happens. Everybody has the same conditions, so yeah.
You had a good scrap with Qiang Long, the new pilot for China Dragons there. You arguably did the best performance of all of Rotorama in the single heats, but I need to ask you about Rotorama as a team and why you are much stronger in single heats than big heats. You yourself have got one of the best records in single heats of all the pilots in the DCL, but in terms of big heats, you guys don't have as many wins as your single heat performance would suggest. What is it about a big heat that is costing Rotorama maybe even more points?
Well, maybe it's that we get single heats and don't need to really win the big heats. It's better to finish second and give them 1 point instead of like giving them 4 and giving them the win. So that might be it, maybe.
Are you tactically holding it back then?
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good reason why you're not scoring the wins in big heats. And it's interesting that that's a tactical decision. Are you going into races with that mindset?
Yeah, our team manager keeps track of everything, and if we don't need to overtake anybody, we don't, because anything can go wrong. You can have a mid-air or anything, and it might have cost us the win, so that's no reason to do that.
So this is a very professional outlook from a team that you're thinking, well, tactically, we've got this. All we need to do is stop them securing loads of points back in a big heat. That's a very calm and measured approach, which is understandable given that you guys are on 1,000 points at the moment. You are leading our World Championship. Who do you think is the biggest threat from the teams who are behind you?
I guess Nextblade and team Quad Force 1, because they're right behind us. Like, one race can change anything, so we will see. It's, I believe, a few races still left in the season, so anything can happen then.
It is close. There are you guys, along with Quad Force 1 and Next Place Racing, all scrapping it out. Last year, of course, Rotorama were doing so well until the final race of the season, and that's where you cost your chance to get the World Championship, and eventually the team came in third. What are you doing as a team to make sure your qualifying performances are more consistent this year?
Qualifying? You mean the qualifying rounds? Yeah. Well, we have new pilots. Maybe that's one of the reasons. We try to play it as a team. Don't like go for the single points. Don't really go for the best qualifier or something like that. The qualifying position and finish points are more important than that. So, yeah, that's our tactic.
Tactics are what are getting Rotorama through to the semi-finals as well as currently leading for 2018. Well done, Lucas.
Yeah, there you have it, our leaders. Now, what I spoke about earlier is we actually have the fastest 4 qualifying teams to make it to the semi-finals now.
Now that, I'd have to check the records, and I like a bit of data, but I'm not sure that's happened before. I know it's what a bracket is meant to lead to. That's why we put the best in qualifying against the team who are 8th in qualifying, 2nd versus 7th, 3rd versus 6th, and 4th versus 5th. But I'm not sure our top 4 teams in qualifying have had the semi-finals all to themselves, as it has worked out today.
Right, I agree. I have no recollection of this happening before.
No, we've had upsets. We've had the 5th place team knock out the 4th place team.
Yep.
And as we said earlier on, that's usually obviously the most sort of closest contest. We've certainly had the 7th place team knock out 2nd before. That's been a real surprise. But yeah, we have 1st versus 4th and 2nd versus 3rd. So it is going to be Quad Force 1 against Raiden Racing, and then we're going to have Rotorama take on Next Place Racing. Those are our 2 semi-finals to look forward to. And that's the top 4 teams, not only in qualifying today, but in these standings for the World Championships.
Exactly.
Those 4 teams are very much leaving everybody else behind again and again and again.
Yep. So that's going to be super exciting.
Yeah.
Last race we had here, we saw Quad Force 1 making a small move in the overall standings.
Yes, yeah, just like that over Next Blades.
Yeah, exactly. So right now we have, if I remember correctly, we have Rotorama as a leading position.
Right, yep.
We have Quad Force 1 following them by 90 points.
Yep.
And behind them we have Next Blades.
Very good.
So
Next Blades are on 850. So yeah, it's all nice and tight. You get 250 points if you win a Drone Prix, 220 for coming second, 200 for third, and 150 for fourth. We won't go deep into the maths now. We've done that before. We've had our little math segments before. But yeah, these top 4 teams, they really can change it around, and we have a long way to go as we continue our world tour. We've got more places to go around the world. Our next stops, well, I'll tell you about that later on in the show. But right now, the quarterfinals are done, and semi-finals await us. Quarterfinals done here at the DCL Drone Prix of Simatai. And going as well seeding would have expected, as you mentioned earlier, Martin. Quad Force 1, top seed after qualifying, have knocked Hellhound out, and they go through to the semi-finals where they'll face Raiden Racing, who were 4th in qualifying earlier on today. Next Blades Racing, 3rd in qualifying, have Rotorama to scrap against in the semi-finals after Air Carvers Germany and China Dragons were both knocked out in the quarterfinals stage as well. So semi-finals are upon us, and let's meet the confident team from America who got that #1 place in their sights and have been known to win a Drone Prix from time to time. They are Quad Force 1! There's Quad Force 1 on our stage. Armando Halagos on the left there. The back of Jonathan Templeton, Alice Campbell, Chief, and Dolmer FPV completes the lineup in the shape of Andy Marakilian.
Yeah, Galagos, aerospace engineer, works for Boeing. Graduated summa cum laude from Washington University. He's got some brains.
I'm getting a bit like the NFL here. We're talking which university they're from,
oh,
which
yeah.
school they're from. Yeah. So that's Quad Force 1, but they're up against these guys. The Japanese team in the shape of Raiden Racing. Happy Raiden Racing. Such good guys. Such a real pleasure having this team around in our season. There's the daddy of the team, Yunichi Goto, second of your picture there. That's Axel Mario Christopher Lencon, the 14-year-old best pilot of Indonesia. There's Goto, who goes to all of our races and just regularly, as a team, these guys are together. And they are young, 3 of those pilots. Remember, they are 13, 14, and 17. Yunichi Goto's co-pilots there. He is older than that, and I won't say anymore. Armando Josef Halagos, Mondo. 3rd in the Midwest Drone Battle earlier this year.
Look at our beautiful umbrella.
Yeah. Thank you for that, production. Takumi Suzuki, 13-year-old Japanese superstar pilot. 1st in the JDRA Sagamiko tournament, 4th in the Japanese Drone League.
Yeah, and he has only been flying for 1 year.
It's amazing. It's
yeah,
absolutely amazing what
absolutely
he can do.
amazingly
that
talented
kind of
pilot.
fearless young age, but yeah, really, really good. That's him on the right of the picture there with goggles on, ready to go.
10 seconds countdown.
So first single heats, we'll go through them all again. The points scored earlier on, the heat points and things, it doesn't matter now. Finisher points, they do stick through practice, qualifying and races, but we go racing. Suzuki's yellow drone has Halagos ahead of him. There's only 200ths of a second on the starting times, but Halagos just came away with a faster one. The reactions very, very similar for both of them. And Halagos comes out of the garden and goes very, very high up. I think he nearly clipped the gate and he shot it in orbit to save it. Meanwhile, Suzuki has clipped that gate, the Breitling gate of the Lantern. He had the lead, but that has wiped him out, and Halagos has managed to recover his. He's going to come around at the end of lap number 1. And I think with the rain falling, he wants to put that to bed right now. There's a lot of rain falling right now here in China, and drones nearly falling from the sky. Definitely Halagos with the first impact, but he saved his. Suzuki with another impact, the Breitling gate cost him.
Yeah. So both pilots actually crashed.
Yeah.
But Galagos was able to stay in the air after clipping a gate.
First point for Quad Force 1, the next one, there's maybe won by that man, JT, Jonathan Templeton. And he has 17-year-old Kazuma Asami to race against, who was 1st in the Drone Nationals of Japan and 3rd in the Japanese Drone League, one better than his co-pilot who's just raced, Takumi Suzuki. Yeah, there's Kazuma.
10 seconds countdown.
He's Kazuma FPV against JT FPV. And the rain, not too bad. You wouldn't want to be out in it. Certainly flyable. Templeton's drone away and then very sort of slowly going towards the garden. Asami has the lead coming out of the garden and high and beautifully lit in the night sky here in China with a third of a second between them. He comes over the wall, past those two DCL pylons and then out and onto the second lap with a lead of nearly half a second now. There's not a lot here. This course causing so many mistakes for pilots. Asami coming in fast and low into garden and fast and low through the gate on the exit. Templeton's had more trouble. He's still in this, but it's most of a second. The gap that he has to close up now as he comes over the wall and hesitantly exits the wall turn. Asami is down though. And groans and yelps from our audience here in the Great Wall Theatre as Templeton has the garden and the night sky to himself. Shame for Asami there. He had that race comfortably in his grip. Templeton comes over the wall, will dive down around the back behind where we're sat on stage, and we'll look around. There's the sky, there's the ground, there's the gates. Templeton's second point was going to be a much tougher challenge for him until
let's
this
take a look
happened.
at what happened here. He came out way too low when he flew over the
That's over the wall, isn't it?
Yeah,
that hard right 180 after the pylons.
exactly. And that's super tricky because they just came like in a full punch out, full speed. They come facing that gate, having to make the turn and just steered his way to a crash.
2-0, Quad Force 1.
So what's tricky for these pilots is that after they finished their second lap pretty much, the battery is just screaming for help. And that really resonates with the amount of power it can give off to the motors, which makes it harder to control the drone, and also for the pilots really they have to adjust to be able to still make those corners in the same way.
Lots of rain here in China. Crew working very hard to keep this race quite literally afloat. The pits area is mostly underwater, so I understand from earlier on.
I've heard, yeah.
We have a proper pits area. If you ever come to a DCL event, and do, you get to see where the pilots are working hands-on themselves on their drones with their crew, but most of these pilots are hands-on. They want to fix them themselves, want to have them just right.
Definitely.
And we have a proper pits area where you can get up close and see lots and lots of drones in all of their bits and pieces and glory of technology, and quite literally in bits and pieces in some cases. But that's what repairing is for.
This is Serge, team manager of Quad Force 1, giving some final instructions out to Alex Campbell, our next pilot.
Not to take anything away from Campbell versus Goto, which we're about to get, but after this is Marakilian against Lenkong.
So the signal that the runner is giving now to the pilot is an arm signal. And arming means power up the quad and turn up the propellers. There seems to be some technical issue right now, because I can see that he's actually arming it through the on-screen display, but I also do not see any propeller spinning.
So what's the difference there, Martin, for people who are less familiar with arming?
The difference between
so you arm your quads.
Yes. Yeah, arming basically means you start the engine into a neutral position.
Yeah.
Like if you would do it with a car, that would mean turn the key and start up the car.
So that's it armed,
Yeah.
and then you know it's communicating with your controller.
Exactly. Yeah. So there seems to be another problem now.
Yeah.
I see the runners take away the quad of Alex Campbell.
Now he can bring two with him to the blocks, but if he uses the other one now, then he won't have one for the big heat.
Exactly.
Yeah, Chief looking upset. Goto,
10 seconds
smile on his
countdown.
face. Goto's got this point all to himself. Will he get some stick time in, or will we see if we can beat? We'll see if Goto is going to get a lap time in, or is he going to go for the fastest finish in the world? He's going for the fastest finish in the world. He's missed it. No way. Yunichi with a smile on his face. There's a bush. What? Like, all he had to do was go in that crash gate, and he's got a finisher point for his team. I'm joking about it being the fastest finish in the world. It doesn't matter what time he got it in. The heat point is theirs,
Yes.
because Campbell obviously didn't start, so Yunichi made it further around the course.
Yeah, let's
but
take a look.
Further
The
in the
full race
loosest
here
of
in slow
terms.
motion. We've never had this before.
Oh my!
Yeah, just clipping the top of that gate.
Is he on? Is he finished on top of it? Lift it up there.
So the Red Bull crash gate is actually a lot more challenging than the crash gate we've had in last year's season. And actually, that's where I sometimes struggle to hit that one.
And that was a big hexagon of a gate.
It was, yeah.
This is the Red Bull gate, and it's a lot tougher. As you see, the pilots tend to go in higher because it's wider at the top. But
yeah,
all he had to do was go in there, and as well as the heat point he's secured that you see at the top of the screen, he would have got a finisher point, and that is important because if this turns into a
10
draw
seconds
after
countdown.
the big heat, finisher points are what matters. But if it doesn't, finisher points are what separates you from other teams if you happen to go out of the semi-final stage. We'll work that out after we've done Marakillian against Lenkov. Now this is a fight. We want to see this. These are two of the best pilots we've got in the entirety of the DTL. Marakillian, possibly arguably the best pilot there is. Lenkong, the only one who's won 5 points out of 6 in a day so far this season. He's in trouble possibly for having gone the wrong way. Marakillian, though, is taking the lead way far ahead of him now. Lenkong comes towards the garden as Marakillian exits it and is high over the lantern. And Lenkong hits the exit of the garden hard. He's still in the air, though. Marakillian comes through to start his next lap. Lenkong is not over the wall yet, so there's a big distance between them. Marakillian really just needs to bring this one home. It's exactly 5 seconds of the lantern being his. There's his curve down. He's really got that bit nicely smooth. Now over the wall he goes. Comes under the gate, under the bridge, under the dive, and he is floating around because Lenkong seems to have not made it to the finish at all. I would have liked to have seen more of that, and maybe we will. Now that's the protest flag.
Yep. So actually Lenkong hit a gate twice there.
Yeah, recovered a very hard hit on the exit of the
let's
garden.
take a look at what happened in the end, because it could be that he hurt one of his antennas because he was flying over the wall here, and all of a sudden mid-air, poof, we see the image
It's a bweef.
drop out.
A bweef or a
bweef. It's like it could also be a beam.
Right.
No.
Bweef or pweef?
Bweef,
Bweef,
beam,
right.
poof.
Okay.
It was
Any
gone.
technical questions, let us know. Yeah, now. I would like to have seen a lot more than that because we haven't seen Lenkong against Marakillian yet. And they're both two of the very best pilots we've got in the whole DCL. So we're in that 3-1 situation that we've had a few times today. And there's that finisher point score, which would have been 19, Junichi. That was an easy one to get. Raiden Racing, 2 points to get out of this big heat. So you need first and second in yellow. Quad Force 1. Just racking up points all season long. Racking up podium places all season long. Lucas Bauman's got some news for us.
The protest from Team Raiden was unjustified because the drone had a crash before, so the video issue was probably because of that.
Yeah, so as mentioned before, it's also part of the rules that we have here. If this would have happened without Lenkong crashing into gates before,
And as you said, 2 of them.
yeah, 2 of them, he might have gotten the rerun. But since his quad already crashed twice and he was still flying, they do not grant a rerun because it's probably a technical issue that that was a result from those 2 crashes.
Raiden Racing with 2 points to get from this big heat to take it to a tie on heat points. Very much doable against most teams. Quad Force 1, one of the tough ones to do it against. But yeah, this course and these conditions are causing some problems for a few of our pilots. But the Americans, though, they're finding their way around this very cleanly. Alex Campbell, the only one of them not to finish in the single heats. That's Axel Lenkong's view. It's fastest in qualifying for Raiden Racing. He starts at the back of the grid for Raiden Racing. Our fastest pilots start at the back. So he's got all of his teammates in front of him to the left. On the right-hand side of the starting blocks are the light blue drones of Quad Force 1 getting armed up and ready. There's Lenkong on screen.
Yeah, so Lenkong, the fastest qualifier out of his team. There's 2 seconds between him and the fastest qualifying pilot of Quad Force 1, which is Andy Marakillian.
2 seconds in Marakillian's favor.
2 seconds in Marakillian's favor, yes, definitely.
There he is, standing up. He's such a casual but deadly pilot, Andy. He smiles and looks over towards me on stage. Told you he's casual. Yeah, so. Quad Force 1, if you take the Rotorama approach, and that was very interesting getting that insight from Lucas Lemversky, because we've not really explored that. We've not had the opportunity to explore that with them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't try and win big heats. They just stop you getting all the points you need.
Right.
So here, they would just stop you getting first and second.
Yeah, exactly.
But they don't do it by getting the win.
No, no. And actually what you also saw Rotorama do is have one pilot wait from the start
10 seconds
to make sure
countdown.
that he's able to sweep up like the last flying pilots and just fly really safe.
And by that you mean not crash into them.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously that's not allowed.
Yeah.
You can't intentionally bring another drone down. Up we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And a yellow one comes to the ground. It's hit, I think, the pole. Yeah, the pole is swaying. I'm pretty sure Lenkong, with the fastest start from the back of the blocks, has left us earliest here. We just need 2 yellow ones at the front though if we're Japanese and want Raiden Racing to progress. It's Marakillian out front, Asami half a second behind him. To the garden they go. Marakillian bringing it down, Asami catching him a little bit on the entrance and then on the exit, spiraling. You see that drone spinning around in the air, but it is still in the air. Templeton getting into a bit of a mess there for Quad Force 1. Marakillian seems to still be out in front. That's the shot there, under the wall they come and they come out around the back of the stage. Blue ones up front in first and second. They're not worried about not having the win. They'd like that one for themselves as well as to interrupt the 2 places that Raiden Racing needs. Suzuki is out of this, Alex Campbell is out of this. Marakillian and Templeton are up front. Marakillian's in a time 51.44. Slow for him, enough to do. Templeton, having a look around. That seems to be, I think, Arigos. Yes, he's coming in third. 3 up front for Quad Force 1. 3 points here after 3 they got in the single heats. Quad Force 1 find themselves in yet another grand final. And Raiden Racing, 4th in our season so far, are going to concede even more points to the teams who are ahead of them.
Yeah, let's see if we can take a look at what happened to the fastest pilot from Raiden Racing, Lenkong. This is where he starts, takes the right-hander, and clips the first corner flag.
That's
we
that
have set
pole
up.
that was swaying, yeah.
And yeah, that's the big disappointment out of Lenkong. He was the man to do it. Some pressure on this young kid. But Quad Force 1 made it through to the next round, into the finals. Let's have a word with Andy Marakillian.
Andy Marakillian. As I was saying, and you heard me saying here on stage, so casual and relaxed as a pilot. You took goggles off, you looked over at me. You're having fun.
Yeah, I found it pretty funny, so I just wanted to get a kick out of it. So, yeah.
Getting a kick out of that chance to get into yet another grand final?
Yeah, so we got in, so we're all really hyped up about that. So let's see what we're going to face and try to get the win.
You will face Rotorama on Next Blades Racing, which is our second semi-final. I'll be with you very, very shortly. Who do you want?
Who do I want to race? Yeah. I definitely want to race both of them. I can't really choose because we've versed both teams and they're really good and really fast, so it's very competitive, so I can't really say which one.
We've had a good scrap between you and Next Blades when we were out in Madrid. We've had fights between you and Rotorama on a few occasions, and they beat you last time we raced in China. So either of those will do, but you're ahead of Next Blades and behind Rotorama.
Yeah. So we're going to try to get the win on this one, try to pass Rotorama if possible. So we're just going to see what happens.
It's going to be really exciting however it works. And you're happy with how everything is working out? Earlier races this season, you guys were turning up without your drones after you had trouble even getting them into Germany where we were racing. Today, though, I understand in our pits area, which is full of water, regardless of the water, you've got loads and loads of kit and everyone is happy.
Yeah, so this time we came really prepared. We don't have any technical issues. We have a bunch of batteries, quads, so we're 100% prepared for this one.
And this course, which is your favorite part of this? Because you are devouring this one like you were doing in Madrid as well.
I would say coming out of the back DCL gate to the 360 on this gate and up on the bridge would be my favorite part because it's the most technical, which is what I really look for in courses, the technical parts.
We'll see a bit more of this man and his teammates as they race this amazing track when they're in the grand final later on today. Well done.
Yeah, and it really shows that that's his favorite part of the track because he just takes it so tight, super tight around the pylon, so he stays very close to it, and he makes his way back through the Breitling gate up to the wall in just lightning speed. Very impressive work, and actually the entire team is super good at that.
Yeah, they are.
That's where they make or break the race, I believe.
Their opponents will be one of these two teams. It could well be the team currently leading our leaderboards. There they are with their 1,000 points. That's the Czech Republic team of Rotorama, currently leading the championship. But this is a good fight, because their opponents, they know very, very well. They are Next Blades Racing. Oh, goody. Next Blades Racing against Rotorama. Yes, 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 yes. You know how this works if you follow DCL. You know these guys have got history together. We've not seen a lot of them this season facing off against each other. They did meet last time we raced in China, and the winner of that was Rotorama. It was 3-2. It was very, very close indeed.
And Next Blaze Racing was the 2017 champion, but right now they have some work to do.
Yeah, they do. Rotorama had that disaster out in Berlin. We do 2 races in many of our locations. We did 2 in Station Berlin last December. That's how we wrapped up the 17 season. And 3 teams, Rotorama, Flyduino Kiss, and Next Blades Racing, all were in position where they could win the World Championship on the final day of racing. You couldn't ask for it to be set up better, for more excitement on the final day. I love it when it is all up for grabs at the end. And then Rotorama had a disaster in qualifying, and they were done with that. It did come down to Next Blades Racing winning the World Championship. But yeah, a great day of racing, wrapped things up at Station Berlin to give them that title. They'll want to retain it for 2018, that goes without saying. Rotorama, who were 3rd last year,
yeah, here's Jakub Steiner.
Are in great spirits to extend their lead.
When I asked him what's so special about your drone,
oh yeah,
he told me it breaks when you fly it with 100 kilometers an hour into a brick wall.
Okay. Not sure that's what I'd call special about a drone.
No, exactly. Well, he's a funny guy.
He is a really good character. We love having Jakub Steiner back. I say back because he was with us during the 2017 season. He helped his team of Rotorama win when we did our amazing race 150 meters underground in Salina Turda, a salt mine in Romania. We have gone to some absolutely wonderfully unique real-world locations. That's what we do here at the DCL. We won't be going back to Romania this year, but we are returning to one of our courses from the 2017 season when we go to Brussels. Next month, we will be going back to the Mont des Arts in the center of Brussels. So if you'd like to join us there, then join us there. Come and see us. Come and have some fun with some live drone racing. It's on the Mont des Arts in Brussels. That's going to be a lot of fun, and that will be in September on the 21st and 22nd of September, Friday and Saturday. Friday 21st, Saturday 22nd of September in Brussels is where our next stop for DCL and our World Tour will go. Now the Breitling Gate looks like that. Oh, just sags even more. Beautifully timed Breitling Gate. Who's been practicing their comedy? The Breitling Gate has perfect comedy timing. Who knew? Just wait until Matt mentions it and flop it out a little bit. Yeah, that Breitling Gate. That's the end of our lantern, and the pylon on top of the lantern
it's also down.
Is in bad shape.
Yep.
It's kind of pointing, going, that thing down there, that's broken.
Right.
I think what we've done is we've turned the power off there, which is why the pylon has dropped.
I think so.
But the Breitling Gate, yeah, needs a bit of a boost. That's going to get fixed up. We've broken a few gates as we've gone around the world, haven't we, Martin?
Oh, we have. Yeah.
They always recover, and usually the gates win, to be honest. The gates knock out more drones than the drones knock out gates.
Definitely.
Our DCL gates flopped a little bit in Madrid. So the pilots wait for that to get sorted out.
Ah, look at it. There we have it. Electricity is back on. The gate is going back up. Let's see if we can have a look at the lantern up top. I'm sure that also works again. Yes, there we are. I think we're good to go.
Fully erect it is. Pumped back up, ready for more racing. The gates always live to fight another day. So Rotorama, lots of chat going on this stage. Both sides of the stage, both teams. Lots of conversation going on. Dominic Roch for Next Blaze Racing is having a good chat with Gary Kent ahead of this single heat. And closest to you there is Jakob Steiner. There's Gary Kent.
10 seconds countdown.
Justice, FPV, loads of wins to his name. French Drone Nationals, multi-GP Open International in the USA. Helped his team, of course, as he raced in every race for them last year. Be the world champions. Jakob Steiner, his goggles off. Gary Kent, missed the crash gate. No, Gary, no. He's indicating here on stage that something went wrong with his drone as he was flying for that. Look at the shocked face of Justice FPV. So what is going on with Jakob Steiner, which meant he didn't even feature in that, and Gary Kent didn't even manage to pick up the finishing point?
Now let's take a look. Maybe we can pull up a slow-mo here.
Absolute shock on his face on stage.
Well, he did get the point for his team.
He got the heat point, not the finishing point, and at this stage...
So he's flying and...
He's missed it completely, hasn't he?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
What the hell that was?
Yeah.
That's one of those ones we can lip read and then say out loud again.
Gary Kent, Mr. Smooth. It's unlike him.
Well, the way he was indicating to his team straight after that on stage was that something happened with his drone that he doesn't feel should have happened with his drone.
Right, well, he's happy to have this problem now.
He's still shaking his head on stage. It's been a lot of technical issues here in China for Next Blades Racing.
Definitely.
And, they were more confident that they would fix for today. Let's see what happens between that man who's got his back to the audience and the action on stage. He's Timothy Trowbridge in the blue drone for Next Blades Racing, and Lucas Lemversky races against him in red for Rotorama. Rotorama's red. Lemversky has the lead as they head towards the garden. These are two very experienced pilots. Can we get a race all the way to the end? Well, we'll go through the garden on board with Trowbridge as he comes around the lantern and sees Lemversky exit the Breitling gate, proudly standing now. Under the wall they both come, and it is a decent gap of 1.38 seconds between Trowbridge and Lemversky as Trowbridge sees Lemversky coming cleanly out of the garden. Nicely done, very level, very good flying. The Breitling gate, no problem with Lemversky, who pulls away now over the wall, and underneath it, his third up, and super hard into the wall goes Lemversky. One of the biggest smashes we've had. And Trowbridge has the night sky, the DCL gate, the garden, and basically all of China to himself. He's casually taking it around the lantern. He's not at the best of times on our courses so far this year, Timothy, and he's got this one. He's gently taking it around now. We're just going to drift towards and away and around and towards the crash gates. Warm applause from the audience. Big applause on stage.
That was a big win, yeah.
I would love to see Lemversky's on board.
Yeah, I think we're going to put it up right now. This is where we go, underneath the wall. Little white, right through.
What did he hit?
Our sponsor
yes.
sign.
Put a hole in it.
Right through
I thought he might have hit the wall, but he's hit some of our signage.
Yeah, actually,
you might see it. Actually, if you look at the right of your picture, you see those white sort of triangular boards underneath the lit-up wall that's lit up in blue. Yeah, there's a hole in those now. There was holes in them earlier.
Lemversky had a big lead there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really pulling away. Great racing by both of them.
Yoonwoi Choi from South Korea, first in the X-Fly International Open recently. Good win for him there. He takes on David Svoboda, whose red Rotorama drone is being sheltered by our amazing Marshall team, working so hard in these wet conditions. It is raining. It's not as bad as it was. Just a few, what should we scale this on a scale of 1 to we can't race? 2 or 3, to be honest with you. There's not much rain coming down here now in China, but it's not left us completely. I think it could certainly surprise us. Choi against Svoboda.
10 10 seconds countdown.
There's the professionally relaxed face of David Svoboda. Yunwoi Choi takes to the air. Svoboda is behind him as we fly over DCL's amazing Drone Prix here in Simatai at the Great Wall of China. We go around the lantern on board with Choi, and Svoboda takes the lead from him. They'll come out over the wall and head towards the DCL closed air gate side by side. But Choi in a little bit of trouble as they exit out onto lap number 2. 71 hundredths of a second the distance between them. So Choi will take the lead of Svoboda as they come out of the garden. Svoboda's now got the work to do. Choi above him and around him. It's good stuff between these two pilots. It's some of the best racing we've seen so far. Under the wall and up to lap number 3 they go, and it's only 3 laps we're going to do. Choi has the lead as they come towards the garden, breaks it, pulls it in, and extends that lead out of the garden. It's a great racing by Choi, and Svoboda has 2/3 of a second to close it down now, and that hesitant entry into the Breitling gate is not going to help him. Choi's got this. As he comes under the wall, he's got to find the crash gate first. They both head to it, an amazing finish from both teams, but Choi has crashed it. Choi celebrating on stage. He thinks he's got that. Svoboda there exited the Breitling gate in front of him. But at the finish, Choi is confident he's got that final point.
He did get it, it seems. They're giving the point to Rotorama. He was able to overtake him in the very, very last moment.
We're going to need to carefully review that with our team of spotters to work out exactly who got that one there. Did he get it into the gate cleanly? Is he in there? Did he cross the line? Did he make that count?
This is where we're going to see the finish. Here we see Jun Choi way up in front, but having to turn around. He did in. Clip in. He did. He was in. He was in. Let's see what our judges are going to make of it.
He went in so much slower.
He did, but he
the approach. I mean, I'm talking about the approach was so much slower.
He made a turn right before that, and he clipped the side of the gate, but magically rolled his quad into it.
So he definitely crossed the line.
Yes. I
He's
would
definitely
say so.
Because you have to go in. Hitting the gate, as we've seen a few times, hitting the gate and not going in is not good enough. You have to go in. And it is the center of the drone. That is where our timings are measured from.
Yeah, let's look at it again here.
And it's very, very, very tight between both of them, but I'm pretty sure that Choi's got it from that shot.
Definitely.
The gap, which was a lot bigger, is down a very few hundredths of a second once Svoboda went into that gate. Because Choi's entry into the gate was so much slower after he'd hit it. But I don't think that can get turned around. I think what happened is Choi was flagged up as a crash when he hit the gate, but he still managed to go in, so that crash won't matter. Here he goes. He's definitely in.
Yep.
And Svoboda winning so fast and cleanly, the gap between them was just irrelevant, completely destroyed.
Yeah.
But I think Choi is still surely going to get this by a matter of hundredths of a second and, you know, centimeters. Yeah, Choi is given the point. That's absolutely confirmed. 3 points and big smiles. I've just made him very, very happy right here by confirming that one's for him. But we've had that confirmed from Lucas Baumann. It is 3-0 to Next Blaze Racing. He's definitely got the finish there. So 3-0 Next Blades.
We're still on the review, right? Aren't we?
We'll make sure with Lucas Baumann, our chief judge of the DCL.
After reviewing the photo finish, we are sure that Next Blades won the single heat.
There you have it.
That's it. That's Next Blades, specifically Yunwei Choi. That point is theirs, and that'll get updated at the top of your screen to 3-0 for the world champions.
Very happy, Jun Choi. His first time participating in Next Blaze.
Yeah. He's very good friends with Young Rock Sun, who's the other South Korean pilot that we've had featuring here in the DCL.
Yep.
Very good friends with him, and that's in fact, it's Young Rock Sun's dad who is here helping look after Choi, because they're both from South Korea. 3-0 Next Blades. Jakob Thoman is the man that if you are Rotorama and need to start pulling points back as a deficit, you'd fancy sticking Jakob Thoman up. But what you wouldn't want to see is Brett Collis as his opposition, because that's a troublesome pilot for anybody.
Definitely.
This is a good one. Brett Collis against Jakob Thoman.
So in qualification, looking at their individual qualification times, Jakob Thoman was our fastest overall qualifier, as we mentioned before, and Brett Collis is number 4 in the overall qualification bracket. But between them, we have only
10 seconds
hundredths
countdown.
of a second.
Hundredths of a second. Two of the best pilots we've got in the DCL. And a really tough course to split Collis and Thoman. Next plays in Rotorama. Rotorama's Thoman has the better start. Collis is underneath him as they head to the garden. And neck into the garden they go, but then Thoman pulls away. Collis sees him in front of him, the trees underneath him. Thoman around and in his edges of his peripheral vision, and then Collis will try and outturn him as they complete lap number 1 and go on to lap 2. It's still Thoman in the lead. That 0.36 of a second is not a worry for a pilot like Brett Collis, but Thoman has that lead and then is done here. That second gate of the DCL, the exit of the garden. Thoman had that. Collis has the heat point. If he can find his way, he'll get a finisher point too. There you go. 4-0, a great celebration for Next Blaze Racing. Rotorama's day is unraveling here. They won our last Drone Prix. They are currently top of the leaderboard. They are 150 points ahead of Next Blaze Racing. Next Blaze Racing cannot pass them at the top of the leaderboard today. Nope. They can't get 150 points more than Rotorama will score today.
Let's take a look at what happened here, because they're flying next to each other. Ooh. And we see Jakob Thoman, they're really pushing it here.
Ah, he's hit the bottom left corner of that DCL gate.
Full speed.
Yeah.
150 kilometers an hour.
You can't take a lead over Brett Collis for granted. Doesn't matter how much that distance is.
Never. Never.
Tough times now for Rotorama. Yeah, we're going to see 4 heat points needed for Rotorama by coming first, second, third, and fourth. In doing so, they'll pick up 4 finisher points. So, Quad Force 1 can still obviously beat them here in this final.
Yep.
If Next Blaze Racing beat them here, then Rotorama will be 3rd or 4th today. And it's the finisher points that will determine whether they're 3rd or 4th compared to Raiden Racing, who lost our other semi-finals.
Yep. They did, but Raiden Racing, in the individual knockouts, they had 1 finisher point.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll have to see. What we do know is that it's super tight between these top 4 teams.
Yes. Now, when they met before, Rotorama beat Next Blaze by winning the big heat. After a 2-all in... no, that's wrong, I'm sorry. No, they got 3 single heat points, and then they lost the big heat. Now they not only need to win the big heat, they need to absolutely demolish Next Blaze Racing in all top positions of the big heat. Hasn't been done today, hasn't actually been done in any of our Drone Prix in China. We've not had a team take first, second, third, and fourth in a full-on race. We've had a team get 4 pilots to the end and get first, second, third, and fourth because all of their opposition were
10 seconds
out of
countdown.
But to outright beat Next Blaze Racing will go down as one of the greatest races we've ever had, if you can do this, Rotorama. Time to find out. The night sky fills in red and blue here in China, and the garden fills with 7, 8 drones as well. Everybody's up here. Everybody's out of the garden as well, or maybe not in the case of Choi. You need all red ones, Rotorama, to be at the front. You just need 1 blue one in the top 4 if you are Next Blaze Racing. Rotorama mixing things up as they've got first, second, and third. And if Steiner can pass Collis, they've got exactly what they need. It's 3 of them out of the wall and into the lantern. There they all go. It's still Collis who is stopping them from making it into the final. Jakob Steiner is there. He's got 2 blue drones ahead of him now. I think Kent has passed him. Thoman up front, Swoboda and Lambertsky with him. Steiner needing to catch them all up, needing Collis and Kent to maybe help him out a bit. It's Kent who's behind him, not by much. Collis moving up though and shattering the red lead of this drone race. Thoman is going to ruin all of it now with Lambertsky. And in fact, the blue one comes in first, Swoboda comes in second. Brett Collis actually turned around to win this one. 1, 2, 3, 4 now makes it 5-0 for Next Blaze Racing after Rotorama were firmly in control of that race. There's still a blue drone in the air. finds its way gently into the crash gate a little bit later than everybody else.
Now look at this, Brett Collis in the swarm of drones. And that's what makes these big heats so exciting for the pilots. They're just in the middle of a swarm of drones. Unbelievable there. And great job by Brett Collis. He had all of those drones in front of him, but he still managed to take that first seat, hitting the crash gate first. Amazing work. Some good sportsmanship between the two teams. Congratulations to each other. These guys have met before.
So yeah, Brett Collis and Next Blaze Racing go through to our grand finals after that great win over Rotorama, and you see all the camaraderie here on stage. A lot of respect between you and the Red Czech Republic team.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of mutual respect between pretty much all the teams in the competition. It was really good. I'm kind of glad we got it done after yesterday and the issues that we faced, but kind of, yeah, you win some, you lose some. Works both ways.
You've had difficulties here in China. Today, our pits area completely sodden with water, but equipment-wise, you guys are having a much better time of things.
Yeah, much better today. There was like a river running through the team tent earlier. I'm so glad it's all working out. We haven't had any issues with rain on the quads. I think they've been 100% reliable, so hopefully we'll continue that into the final.
There are 4 teams, yourselves, Rotorama, Quad Force 1 and Raiden Racing, have this kind of stranglehold on the season so far. You 4 teams always seem to be featuring in the latter stages of the competition, and you are the top 4 teams on our leaderboard. What's it like knowing that Rotorama, who are currently in the lead, are now out of this thing for today, and you are definitely going to score more points than they will?
It's obviously a huge confidence boost for us. We want the win at the end of the day in the grand final, but it's good to know that we're making some ground on at least one of our competitors.
Quad Force 1 passed you in the leaderboard after our last Drone Prix. Now you're up against them in the final.
Yeah, it's going to be good. There's some good banter between the teams. Kind of, we get on really well, so we're good. I think there's some really close times in terms of the 1v1s, so it's going to be really good.
It is going to be really good, and it's going to come to you next. Here, live from the DCL Drone Prix in Simatai. Next Blaze Racing will race Quad Force 1 for the grand final. The DCL Drone Prix of Simatai and the midpoint of our 2018 season has a grand final to look forward to in the shape of Quad Force 1, the American team who joined us for the first time here in 2018 and have had a huge impact on our season so far. And they're up against the reigning world champions in shape of Next Blaze Racing. Next Blaze Racing putting Rotorama out of this, who are currently top of the World Championship in points for the season as well. So both of these teams behind Rotorama are going to be thrilled to score more points than Rotorama today. But it's tight at the top of our results, and you get 250 for winning and 220 for second and 200 for third. 150 for fourth. We'll get into that in a little bit because we like an occasional bit of maths. But first, let's show you a finalist. To warm applause here in warm Simatai. Welcome Quad Force 1! Big roar for them from our Chinese audience here. They've clearly made lots of new fans. Good support for them here from the Chinese crowds. If they're not going to cheer for an American team, they'll have to cheer for a British World Championship team instead. They'll be coming to our stage in a moment. A little bit of fixing going on there, but first, there's... Oh, yeah, they owe me a hat. Quad Force 1, you owe me a hat. We talked about that before. They were going to get me a cap. Yeah, there you are. I see you, Mark Killian. Always got smiles on his face. Yeah, they owe me a hat. With or without my name on it. Firstly, though...
This team, since they live so far apart, they practice together on simulator. So they practice the tracks, they fly together on simulator. Yeah.
They'll be able to race each other on the new DCL simulator coming to a PC near you soon.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, sneak preview.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very, very good. And yeah, you're going to be able to get your hands on that.
And JT there, the third pilot from Quad Force 1, from our perspective, has a track in his backyard, believe it or not. Now that's a luxury I would love to have.
Now either he's got a tiny, tiny, tiny drone and a yard like my garden. I have to say garden, I'm British. Or he's got the kind of yard that we don't have in Britain.
Exactly.
And he's got loads of room. I expect it might be the latter. Now, Next Blades Racing are pushing their luck if they don't get onto the stage soon, because there's a time limit, but that's not going to matter. Welcome, the #1 team of DCL's 2017 season. They are Next Blades Racing. Happy Next Blades Racing?
Yeah, definitely. They didn't do that well in the race we last had here. But they're back, you know, they're here right now.
We
in the
may be
final.
occasionally hard on Next Blades Racing, but that is simply because they are the reigning world champions. It was a fight to be that last year. They didn't have it like in a very one-sided season at all.
No, and I think
and they have some of the very best pilots, and they're very well known as a drone racing team on any world of drone racing. They're known all over the world of drone racing.
Yeah, their team is just built of champions, you know, coming out of all areas of the world.
They have, you know, Luke Bannister's part of their roster as well. Heiko Schenk is on their roster too. They have great, very well-known pilots from DCL performances and other drone races as well. They're just not having their most comfortable time here in China.
Yeah, well, they weren't, because they're here now, aren't they?
Yeah. They did manage to get to this final. It wasn't as confident as that they would, as I would normally be after the sort of technical problems that they've faced earlier on. But we have 4 single heats and a big heat to look forward to here between two teams with a bit of history in 2018. Starting off with Armando Josef Heiligos for the Quad Force 1 against Gary Kent of Next Blades Racing. So it's going to be light blue against dark blue. It's American Quad Force 1 in light blue, it's British Next Blades Racing in dark blue. And the blue lights in the night sky are up front with Gary Kent and Heiligos with a slightly better, slower, more difficult entry into the garden and into a mess out of the garden. He is hovering around, checking out the wildlife, while Gary Kent has completed the lantern and is nearly completed his first lap. Gary Kent drops out of that race, though. He has left that. And Dominic Roche, team manager on stage, Next Blades Racing, is waving his flag immediately. Heiligos brings it home. Gary Kent sadly shakes his head again, checking his goggles. Clearly a video issue, I think, Martijn. Difficult to say just yet.
Yeah, well, it seemed like, looking at the monitor I have in front of me, is that Gary Kent was flying over the wall, had a big lead.
Yeah, and then just...
Very well communication within the team, because he was on such a big lead. He was actually slowing down a little bit, just not to take any risks. But his quad seemed to lose all connection. This is where we see him flying straight, making his way to the corner, and poof, that's where the image was completely gone. Gary doesn't know what's up. No one knows, but they raise the protest flag, as they should in these occasions.
There you go, that says it all right there.
You can't believe it.
Lucas Baumann will let us know what the protest is about. We'll talk to our chief judge live on our stage.
The decision is postponed. We need to check the drone.
Okay, so that's something which looks like, right, we know there wasn't a trackside failure. Let's investigate what happened with the drone in person, as it were. So that'll get recovered, and that's how we started today. Actually, we had one of those right at the beginning of today. We'll move on to the second single heat. Well, Gary, who's had, just unfortunate problems technically during today.
10 seconds countdown.
We will go with all of the T's, Templeton and Trowbridge, JT and Temple Claws. Jonathan Templeton is the pilot for Quad Force 1 on the left of your screen. And Timothy Trowbridge in dark blue for Next Blades Racing has the better of the two starts. Not much in between them, but he has the lead as they head towards the garden. And Templeton drops in on that and passes him on the way through. He has the lead now. As we're on board, you can see Trowbridge so close to him, in front of him as they exit through the Breitling gate. They are with each other. As you would expect, two teams of this caliber, they look like they barely made it out of that gate, and they both did. They're into the garden. Trowbridge comes underneath that speed Templeton doesn't care. He goes over him. Trowbridge goes under him again. This is back and forth. Brilliant racing. Round the lantern, we will fly with Trowbridge and Templeton over the wall and through the DCL gate. It looks like Templeton had the lead, yes, 1/10 of a second over Trowbridge. Nothing between two pilots this caliber because Trowbridge has already passed him and now extends it. They'll come out of the garden with Trowbridge still in the lead and Templeton behind him through the lantern. Templeton with a tighter turn and they exit through the Brightling gate side by side. Best race we've had in China. Templeton in the lead. Trowbridge comes under the bridge with him. And no for Templeton. He's hit the crash gate and Trowbridge isn't in either. Put your goggles back on, says Campbell. Finish the race. Neither pilot has yet made it into the crash gate. This race all comes down to now.
Oh, my.
Templeton and Trowbridge. That is going down in history for good and all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, but both of them...
Absolute elation between the pilots and supporters here of Next Blades Racing.
Let's take a look
that
at
race was never going to end.
So we see Templeton hit the gate.
And Trowbridge almost went under it. We've never seen anybody hit the bottom here in China. The top, yes.
Look, this is where they go back up.
Templeton has got his goggles off at this time. Look, there he is on your big screen right now. That light blue drone on the floor is his. And he's not even looking while Trowbridge is trying to get his back up in the air. He has. Meanwhile, on the big screen, you can see Templeton's put his goggles back on and tries to recover it. He's still trying to get his drone off the floor. Timothy Trowbridge for Next Blades has no idea where the crash gate is.
Look at that. Yeah, that's an amazing finish. Amazing work by Trowbridge.
Amazing work, and also from both pilots.
Yeah.
Get it done.
But that's the kind of finishes we want to see, man.
I've never seen a finish like that. I've never seen a pilot give up during a race and pull his goggles off thinking he's crashed it and he's done. And his teammates are saying to him, particularly Chief Alex Campbell, they're going, get back in there! Because Trowbridge has stuffed up the finish. Both of them. Oh! First single heat is still under investigation. That happened recently, but we kind of forgotten about that.
Right, yeah.
Templeton and Trowbridge, check out our social media. We are Drone Champions League on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Drone Champions L on Twitter. And that is going to be talked about all day long and for some time to come. Meanwhile, let us focus our attention on single heat number 3. It is Alex Campbell for Quad Force 1 against that man, Yunwoi Choi for Next Blades Racing. It's currently 1-0 to Next Blades after that amazing, never-ending single heat. There's another point still in investigation from earlier between Heiligos and Kent. Campbell against Choi for the third single heat point of the grand final here for the DCL Drone Prix in Simatai. Next Blades Racing are 60 points behind Quad Force 1 in our World Championship. One of these teams will score 30 points more than the other today. So Next Blades Racing can't catch Quad Force 1 here today, but they can close the gap. And they're both going to close the gap on Rotorama, who are currently at the top of the leaderboard. Whether that remains is yet to be seen. The only team of these two who can pass Rotorama today are Quad Force 1. They're the only team within numerical distance to do it. First, they've got to beat Next Blades Racing, and currently they're behind. Campbell against Choi. Campbell's up, Choi's up, and it's a tenth of a second exactly between them in the favour of Campbell, who has gone. Choi has the lead, Campbell has no picture. He's searching, I think, for the red protest flag. Yep, that's being waved right now. Choi's being told he can wrap that one up. The protest is in for Campbell. Choi's going to complete his first lap here, bring it under the wall. Have a good look at the screen, have a good look at the audience, have a good look at the crash gate, and find it.
Yeah, so that looked like Campbell has similar issues than what Gary Kent had in the first knockout heat. Let's take another look at it. He took off and immediately lost video.
If he didn't have video on the blocks, he would have said so. The race wouldn't have begun.
Right.
But immediately. That's very unusual, isn't it, Martin?
So you could say, from a judge's... I'm no judge. By no means I'm a judge. But you could say that the protests here are going to even each other out because they both are facing similar problems.
Well, that's interesting, but it does come down to whether it's drone.
Right.
I don't know whether Lucas Baumann will feed us any more information or whether it's going to be exactly the same as the first protest. We need to recover the drone to work it out. That's going to make this grand final extra interesting and possibly a little bit extended. as we might even get to a stage where we're having a big heat without knowing where the points have all gone and whether there are any more to be fought over in the single heats. Let's not complicate things too much now. We know that after the craziest of single heats, 1 point is definitely Next Blades. That's on the top of your board there as the wall looms over us. Trowbridge beat Templeton just eventually. I'm never going to forget that race. Lucas Baumann will tell us what's currently going on with the protests.
The decision about the protest just made will be made later. We need to check the drone, but we have the decision in for the first single heat. There will be a rerun after the big heat if it can change the overall result.
Now that's interesting. And I think also a very fair decision to make. No reruns are granted if it will not change the outcome of this race. But if there's a chance that it will change the outcome of the final, then they will do the rerun. So that can be a make or break it single heat.
Now that is the one between Halagos and Kent, the slowest pilots in qualifying for both of these teams. They may be racing their single heats again to decide the champion here in Simatai. It may fall on their shoulders alone. Before that, sit back and then get out of your seats after you've been on the edge of it for Marakilian against Collis. And 200ths of a second between these two brilliant pilots. This is a real scrap, and Marakilian goes dark, and Collis goes in the air. That's a mid-air between them. Collis is down somewhere afterwards, so he definitely progressed the furthest, unless Marakilian is back in the air, and he's certainly trying to be. That, I think, is just a straight mid-air as we sometimes get in racing. That's a disappointment. Marakilian versus Collis. Marakilian versus Collis. Would like to have seen a lot more than that. The last time they raced, it was Collis who won. In this instance, Lucas Baumann will clear that one up for us.
Yeah, look at this. This is where both drones hit each other. Yeah, right before that first gate, first DCL gate, they hit each other. And Brett Collis was able to keep flying, and he made it further down the track. But let's listen to our judge, like you just said, Matt.
After reviewing the footage, we can say that Next Blades won the last single heat. He got further.
Yeah. Marakilian not getting that point after crashing with that mid-air. And I said earlier on, even if a mid-air happens, it's who makes the furthest gets the point, and that was certainly Brett Collis in that instance. So disappointment for Marakilian and disappointment for me, to be honest with you. I want to see those two race.
Oh man, this was the race I was really looking forward to.
We will, of course, get a big heat with them all in it, but last time they raced, it was in a grand final, and Collis beat Marakilian in his single heat. So I know Marakilian would have loved to have taken that one back from him here. So where are we at? Well, not the usual place we find ourselves at this stage of a grand final. 2 points in the bag for Next Blades Racing. Halagos against Kent has been resolved. Choi versus Campbell, the third single heat, I think that's still being reviewed.
Yes.
Halagos against Kent will happen if we need it to, unless the big heat wraps this thing up beyond reach of the one single heat available. Complicated, isn't it? It's the grand final. Now, Campbell's got his hand up, so I think he's having trouble.
Yeah, they're checking some video issues on his channel.
He's not seeing it, is he? Now, this is not what Quad Force 1 want. If you think that you're not actually going to compete in a grand final for a technical reason against one of your biggest rivals for the season.
Yeah, so what they just did is cycle the power, so unplug it, replug it, and now as we can see, perfect video for Alex Campbell, which is good news for him, but I believe on the side of Next Blades, we also have a minor video issue.
Yeah, Campbell's has been power cycled, and he is good to fly. So there is Marakilian pointing out to one of our crew. Is he pointing out where his drone is?
It could be. It could be. Where he lost power.
Over there, in the darkness, in China, next to a wall. So we believe Choi versus Campbell is still being reviewed. I don't think we've had the firm decision on that. And we know that Heiligos against Kent. The protest came in, and a rerun is going to happen if it can change the score.
Okay, so this is interesting. I see Jun Choi's drone being removed off the starting blocks.
Oh, he has had trouble with this before. And that hurt him last time. You won't want to see that again. Yeah, his starting block dead. Yeah, the shoeless team here.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's because everything just got so drenched just before we went live with a massive downpour. We've had rain during this show, as you've seen. But we had so much more of it before we began the racing today.
10 seconds countdown.
Okay, we go to the big heat with 4 brightly lit Quad Force 1 drones and 3 for Next Blades Racing, as Jungwon Choi is not taking part in this, as you mentioned, Martin. We go to the garden in pieces. Quad Force 1 in all sorts of trouble now. Next Blades Racing are out in front. Collis, Trowbridge and Heiligos and Templeton mixing it up with them as we complete the first lap. Collis has the lead. Templeton and Heiligos in there with him. They'll want first and second, and they'll want more than that to take this and keep this grand final going and their hopes alive. But first to do that, a lot of them have got to pass Collis, and Templeton is in trouble and not going to be one of them. Collis comes out under the bridge over the garden and looks like he will take a 3rd point in this grand final for Next Blades Racing. It's a complicated one with all the scoring and all the incidents and crashes that we've had so far. It looks like Collis might just make this nice, clean and done for his team as he comes around, and it is not in the crash gate. I don't think he's in. Heiligos is in. There's at least one dark blue drone for Next Blades Racing in there. I think Quad Force 1's hopes die with that one going in. Campbell's in, Kent is in, and Kent might have just saved the day for Next Blades. Chaotic big heat there. Now I think if Next Blades Racing get a point in that,
Collis still not sure what happened there.
They will be the champions here.
Let's take a look at it.
Did Collis go
Beautiful
in? He
cornering in here. That looks like into me, but...
Even Alex Campbell of Quad Force 1 was shouting over to him saying, no, you were in.
It looks like he's into me. Into me? No. In the crash gate, I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Under review, it says.
Yeah, well, we need to absolutely make sure. So if Brett Collis went into the crash gate and definitely crossed the line, he'll have secured the big heat point, and I think it will only be 1 for Next Blades Racing. I don't think they possibly could have got 2. Campbell against Choi. Campbell against Choi has been reviewed.
Marakilian was out in the beginning of the race.
I think Choi is being given his single heat point from single heat number 3. We'll find out now with Chief Judge Lucas Baumann, who has another bit of reviewing to report to us.
Yes, we still had a review of the single heat number 3, I think. The Quad Force drone, we found it to be faulty, so there will not be a rerun. Overall result is 3-1 for Next Blades. They are the champion.
And that seems like that might be it. There goes the news, sinks in. (3-1) Next Blades Racing. The point between Heiligos and Kent isn't included in that, as that was going to be rerun, but that one single heat point that they could have fought over is not enough to turn around the 3-1 lead that Next Blades Racing have after the big heat. That means Next Blades Racing are the champions today here at the DCL Drone Prix in Simatai, and Quad Force 1 will be runners-up to them after an amazing day of racing, no least due to rather an unusual final in many ways, and I'm sure we'll have fun talking about in the near and distant future, Martijn.
Definitely. Amazing work by NextBlades, I have to say. I have to give it down, especially Brad Collis. He just pulled his team to the victory. Very well done in his individual heat, but also the big heat. Great work. A lot of excitement going on stage. Both teams together taking a picture. That's what makes the sport so beautiful.
We will talk to NextBlades Racing after their amazing win. Brett, come here with me, your teammates. Feel free to stay with us. This is a brilliant team that you are.
Those goggles go
Brett,
down.
we talked not long ago in the semi-finals about how you were looking forward to that final, how you wanted to get past Quad Force 1 after they just squeezed by you. They're still ahead of you for the season, but you got more points back on them today.
Yeah, really good. Shame there's a few technical issues, I guess. Kind of would have been nice to have kind of a completely fair fight, but that's the way it goes, kind of sometimes.
Yeah, a final in which it's sort of all like clearly like this happened here and this happened here and this one. That would have been nice to see, but it works out the way it does, and it works out in your favor at least.
Yeah, it works in our favor. So we gained some ground today back on them, hopefully. Kind of made up for yesterday for sure. So that's what we came in to do.
I'd love to talk to Timothy. Timothy Trowbridge, come over here for me. Timothy, come over here. I need to talk to you about your crazy single heat that we will never forget. The laughter from your teammates right now. The race that looked like it was never going to end.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I mean, I didn't know what was going on. I just didn't hit the crash gate properly. So I took off again, and everyone was like, yeah, go in, go in, go in. And they told me that I have plenty of time. And suddenly the Quad Force 1 drone rose up again, and I just had to swing it past by.
So did you see that Templeton got his drone back up into the air, and you thought, oh, hang on, this isn't all over yet?
I did see that, yeah. Like last second, I was like, oh shit, just hit it in.
You'll be able to enjoy that many times online, I'm sure. We're going to clip that and keep that forever. You got there, you got your team there. Congratulations to NextBlades Racing. They're going to be the champions here in Simatai. Let's show you how all of the day worked out. Well done, guys. Yeah, what a day. What an amazing location, what an amazing set of races to happen. Worthy of a location such as this here in Simatai. A final that kept us on our toes for technical reasons, for the reviews that were or weren't going to come. Are they going to be in that thing? I mean, for Heiligos and Kent, that must have been so tense as well in that big heat, because they knew that if we came out of that in a draw and the other review had turned around maybe the points, instead of that being 3-1 for NextBlades, it could have been 2-2.
Yeah, it could be.
And then Heiligos and Kent would have had a single heat to settle the whole day.
Right.
Instead, Rotorama still at the top. 1,200 points, as they are deemed to have come third here on finish points. So they pick up another 200, but the gap has changed. Quad Force 1 are now in the 4 digits on 1,130. NextBlades Racing, after beating Quad Force 1 in that grand final, reduced the 60-point deficit they had to just 30 points. They're still in third behind them, but they've both moved up on Rotorama. Raiden Racing were fourth. They've gained more points here for coming fourth again today, but they're staying in fourth in our standings. China Dragon, Swiss Black Kites, Hellhound down there on the board, and Air Carvers Germany double their points for the season so far. They pick up the 80 points for coming fifth here. Martijn, so much fun in China. We're never going to forget that race. We're never going to forget being here in this amazing location.
No, you're absolutely right. I was super impressed by the level of the pilots here. We have an amazing 3-dimensional track here over the wall, coming out underneath, right next to us actually. And yeah, it was just unbelievable for me personally being here, but yeah, for the pilot's perspective, it was even more impressive, I would say. What else can I say? I was surprised that Rotorama, our overall leader, was not able to make it to the finals. And yeah, very good job by NextBlades and Quad Force 1. NextBlades ultimately taking the victory.
Thank you very much, Martijn de Kemp, my partner in all of our action here for Drone Racing. We have so much fun during this season, and thanks to all of our pilots for giving us so much fun in today's racing. We go now to our prize giving Please welcome the third place team here of the DCL Drone Prix of Simatai. They are from the Czech Republic. They are Rotorama. Presenting their trophy is the CEO of the Drone Champions League, Mr. Herbert Weirater. Rotorama, third in the DCL Drone Prix of Simatai. And now please welcome and congratulate our runners-up, Quad Force One. The Vice General Manager of Beijing Mingxin Aviation Science and Technology Corp, Mr. Lin Min Fang, will present Quad Force One with our runners-up trophy of the day. And now please welcome the champions of our Drone Prix here at the Great Wall of China in Simatai. They are Next Blades Racing! Such elation and warm respect from these amazing pilots on our stage as Next Blades Racing take their place at the top of the podium. We welcome the Vice President of Beijing Gubai Watertown Tourism Co. Limited, Mr. Jin Lin Sheng. Thank you, Mr. Yinling Sheng. And congratulations again, our champions, Next Blades Racing! An absolutely amazing day here in the rain, challenging conditions for all of these pilots, and things get wetter on stage right now. Our season continues as we head to Brussels on the 21st and 22nd of September. To the Monday Art we go for 2 more Drone Prix of the DCL season. Will Rotorama keep that lead at the top of the leaderboards? Or will one of these teams take it from them? There's 200 points between Rotorama and Quad Force One, but there are 500 points up for grabs in Brussels in total. We'll see you there on the 21st and 22nd September. We are the Drone Champions League on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Drone Champions L on Twitter. I'm Matt Andrews. Thank you to Martijn de Kim. Thank you to everybody here in Simatai. Congratulations, Next Blades!